Welcome back, my beautiful friends. This is Zen Sounds on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We're here on the film set of Killing Castro with the amazing Ron Livingston. He's going to chat with me and tell me exactly what attracted him to this particular role, what he feels about this movie and this script, and the latest that he's been up to since the strike, of course, because now we're all back at work. Ron, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell me about your initial thoughts when you first read the script, Killing Castro.
The story is based on this period in 1960 when Malcolm X and Fidel Castro were at the same hotel up in Harlem. So my first thought was like, wait, that didn't really happen, right? And they're like, no, that part's true. I don't know how much the rest of it is, but it just makes kind of for a great setting, both in time and place. I think that's kind of a microcosm a little bit for America in 1960, headed into the 60s. But the pieces are already in motion, and so it feels like it's a great origin story for like what was going to go down in the 60s.
It definitely tells an important piece of history. And when you look at the dynamic between the US government and Cuba at the time, you could definitely find a lot of parallels with whatever's happening currently in the world. And this is quite the interesting story that really has been untold, and no one really knew what happened in that time period when Fidel Castro met Malcolm X for the very first time. But I definitely can't wait to see your performance in this. Now let's talk about you and your career, your performance. So this is very different than your typical, the typical roles that you've taken on in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you came off of a couple of projects that were very interesting. It was Featherweight,
yeah,
and The Strike, right? There was that one too. And you are trained very classically here, Harvard. Yale.
Yeah.
You're Yale.
Yes.
There's other people here on Harvard, but Yale, and you did go to school with Paul Giamatti and Edward Norton.
I did.
Is that correct? So tell me about that experience. All three of you extremely successful actors.
It was great. It was the theater scene. I think when I was there in school was very much it was do it yourself. It wasn't a conservatory program where it was all kind of laid out. So I thought it was actually really good prep for the way it works in Los Angeles, where it's kind of like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Are you available to do this thing that I'm doing? And it's like, yeah, okay. Everyone was kind of working together on stuff.
It was very interesting, the transition that you all went through as career paths, but bringing you full circle to this film set. So you're from LA, and you're from the West Coast, and we're in a very frigid, cold New York City, New Jersey area, and the tri-state area.
Well, I grew up in eastern Iowa, so I grew up in the cold, but I've gotten soft. I've been in LA for about 30 years, so I love it. I love getting back. I love getting back to the weather. There's something that's kind of magical about New York. Yeah, it's kind of always nice to float through.
All right. After this project, can we expect to see you in any other upcoming films?
I certainly hope so.
Are you working on anything?
No, not yet. We're just getting geared up now, being back from the strike. So I'm looking forward to see what next year holds.
She's one of the only actors now, employed literally the week right after the strike. I mean, everything came back to into effect full force, and you're living proof that the industry will always sustain itself, and Hollywood is always going to be in demand. And this is one of those projects that I can't wait to see what director Eve Rivera is going to do with this. This may get nominated for an Academy Award, and my bets are that it will.
Well, I hope so.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ron. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Can't wait to see your performance. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We're here on the film set of Killing Castro. We'll be right back after this.